asking the right kind of questions, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And spoiler alert, it's not just open and closed-ended questions. So at the beginning of this, I just said, we're not just going to focus on open and closed questions, but we need to talk about what is an open and closed question pretty quickly, because in sales and leadership, that's what they've talked about. Always ask open-ended questions. Don't ask closed-ended questions. I don't believe that you do either or just one or the other. You got to be able to ask both in a conversation. So let's talk about what is an open-ended question, what's a closed-ended. So closed-ended is just basically asking somebody that can answer in a one-word answer like yes or no. Is it sunny outside? Yes or no. That's a closed-ended question. An open-ended question would be like, what kind of fruit do you like? Or tell me more about this. Those are open-ended questions. And in sales, they always said only ask open-ended questions. Well, after a while, the conversation starts boring the other person when you're asking all these open-ended questions, and they feel like they're being interrogated. So we actually have to mix it up a little bit. So it's okay to ask an open-ended and a closed question, because you want to have it as a conversation. You don't always ask open-ended questions through the whole gamut when you're talking to your kids, because the kid's going to tune out, right? Same thing with adults. And when we're trying to sell people on our vision or our product and service, we can't just keep asking open-ended questions. But there's more kind of questions to ask. So this one kind of question is crucial when we're talking to people, because we need to understand their situation. What's going on in their environment? We need to understand the situational kind of questions. And yes, they can be open and closed. We need to dig a little bit into it to understand what's going on in this situation to drive an outcome that a customer or an employee is having right now. So it might be an issue that's happening at work where there's been a fight or a disagreement, and you got to understand what's going on with the situation. We also need to understand why this employee might be acting erratically. We can't just ask a yes or no question. That's why we ask the situational, open-ended kind of question to understand what's going on. Because as much as people would love to say that they're not bringing their garbage from home or outside of work to work, they are. And it affects their moods. Maybe somebody in their family is sick or dying, or their parents are in the hospital. Well, we tend to spiral and we act erratically or short with other people because of a tense situation. So we need to understand what's going on in the situation. See, hostage negotiators will do this to understand what's going on inside and with what the outcome is, and trying to understand what's going on so they can maneuver with the bad guys. So we need to understand the situation. Next, we need to talk about the perception. That's right. This kind of question is crucial, is the perception kind of question. How are you viewing this situation from your vantage point is what you should be asking that other person to understand their perspective of the situation. It could be the product or service that we're selling, or it could be a situation at work, trying to understand what their perception is, because in the brain, perception rules over logic, unfortunately, a lot of times. It could be a feels question. What are you feeling right now? And so that perception drives people on their thought process. So what do you view as going on right now? How is this landing with you? Do you understand how this works to help you? Or how does this affect this individual that you're interacting with? Got to be able to ask these kind of perception questions and understand what's going on, because that's going to affect your outcome. And in the sales process, when you're asking different kind of questions, you got to know the perception, because the perception of the market is key, and that's how it helps marketing. And we need to understand perception. We talked about feelings, and I said it's the feels. What gives you the feels? You're up in your feelings. We need to understand their feelings, especially with employees. And yes, we talked about the perception, we talked about what's going on in the situation, but the feelings drive our brain too much, unfortunately. And I'm a ones and zeros kind of person, but when I'm feeling irritated, guess how I interact with other people? It's not so good. Just like my wife, when she doesn't have coffee, she feels irritable, and she is going to be short with me until she gets that cup of coffee drank, and then can move on with her day. A lot of people, feelings are driving it, and feelings of uncertainty, and a lot of stuff's going on. So we need to understand how the person's feeling, especially if we're interacting with them for the first time. If they're having a bad day, we might want to punt and come back another day to sit down with them to have that discussion, because if they're feeling grouchy or short or something's going on in their situation, we're going to have to wait till they're ready to respond at a later date, or else we might not get the right answer and understand what's going on. And then the last one, which helps in sales somewhat, we need to understand the technical kind of questions. What technical help do you need to succeed, to be a hero of your story? Now, we don't ask that question, how can I help you be a hero of your story? Because the person's going to start saying, give me a winning lottery ticket. That's what they're going to come back with. But we need to understand the technical. What's holding you back technically from achieving X, Y, and Z result? How can we help you? Would this spec on this product or service help you sell more products, make you more profitable? Would this software help you run more efficiently in your business? How can we give you the tools, and what technical tools do you need to succeed in your position? Those are technical questions we need to understand before we're going to succeed with other people. And so there's a lot of different kind of questions we need to answer. It's not just open and closed. There's tons of different. You got your situation, you got your technical, you got your feelings and perception of what's going on. There's a lot of different kind of questions to ask and understand. The problem is most people don't prepare before they walk into a situation to understand how to take these questions and tie them back to the benefits and the features that they're offering to the other person, to make sure that they're hitting a home run consistently and walking with that other person to make them a hero of their story. Now, if you got more questions or want to connect, feel free to reach out. Contact information is below. If this video was helpful, hit like, share, subscribe, send to somebody you think it might benefit. That's why I do these videos, to help you. We'll see you next time.